Hi guys, Chris here with Super Savvy Travelers. Hey, I was poking around on social media today, as I do, and I found a really great article from Nick Mehta's office, Studio Legale Mehta, and you know Nick because he's all over our channel giving us really great, pure gold legal information all the time on a variety of different things. And this was all about how to make sure that everything goes correctly with your Italian renovation. And he put in some very, very important tips. Now I'm putting the link to the article down below because you should really read the whole thing with all the details. And if you have any questions or concerns about your renovation, you can definitely contact Nick and he can help you make sure that the contract is exactly what you need. So the first thing he brought up, which I think is paramount in importance, are permits. You need to have permits when you're having certain works done. Now, obviously, for certain things, you don't need permits, but it's good for you to know exactly when you need permits. And if you're doing a renovation with anything structural, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to need them. So taking on a project without permits can lead you into an abusive situation. Now, the first part of that is I've seen projects, several actually, be shut down in the middle of the renovation by the comune. They came in, there's no permit, sorry, bam, you're done. And in fact, I've seen people who could never get a permit for anything after that. So be aware, it could just become a massive nightmare if you're trying to do stuff abusively. You may have a contractor that's crooked and say, hey, you don't need permits. Make sure you know when you need permits. You may have somebody that encourages you to break the law there and say it's not a big deal because everybody does it. Well, that may be. It may be that a lot of people do it, and I've seen quite a lot of it. But the penalties can be devastating if you have an Italian dream and you're renovating and they come in and shut down your project. On top of that, once you got the project done, good luck trying to sell it if it's abusive. And another thing is you're putting yourself at risk because at any point the comune could come in and go, this is abusive, you need to tear it down. So there's all kinds of reasons why you should just take the time, pay the money. It's not even that much money. Pay the money and get the permits, just so you know that you're safe, and make sure you know and understand exactly what permits you need, and make sure your contractor is getting them, put them in the contract. Another thing is a written contract. If you're doing a renovation, you need to have everything that you agreed to, everything that has been discussed, everything that has been decided on must be in a written contract. You need to put yourself and the builder under a contractual obligation, because if you don't and something goes sideways, where are you going to be? The next thing Nick brings up is material and work specifications. You do have to be very precise on this, because if you think that somebody understands you, that's all well and good, but it must be in writing and it must be very, very precise. The recent renovation estimate we got was very good. The guy went through exactly what was going to happen and where it was and what type of materials were going to be used very, very specifically. And so that does need to be done. You need to make sure you know exactly what you're getting. Now, the next point is a very good point. It's milestones about timing. And it forces the contractor to commit to your project so it gets done in a certain amount of time. It helps to put penalties for missing the deadlines, or what I like to do is put a little carrot at the end for making the deadline. I think it's always better to use a carrot than a stick, and a lot of people are more willing to work with you if you come at them with the idea that they're going to come out ahead and you're going to reward them for doing so. The next one is payment structure. You're going to outline in the contract exactly what happens that's going to trigger your payment. And normally it is you hit a certain milestone. For example, let's say you're getting a new roof, and once they put the roof in and it's watertight, you're going to pay something. That's just an example. It's not even a good example. But that's usually how it works. And those things have to be listed very, very carefully, precisely, and detailed in the contract so that you know when to pay. If you're doing it remotely, make sure you ask for pictures that prove that that work has been done. Nobody's going to be upset at you for asking for that. It's just a matter of course. But that's a very important thing to have in your contract. Another thing you might want to do is ask for a tax credit reduction. There's a lot of tax credits that you can get. We found out about one over in Puglia where we are setting up our office, and we found out that we could save a significant amount of money in taxes by taking advantage of a tax credit that pays us almost half of the renovation cost back. So it's a very good idea to ask your engineer, architect, contractor to make sure that they tell you about any sort of tax credits or tax breaks that you might get as a result of your renovation. Now that works if you're a resident, you're already paying taxes. If it's a vacation home, it might not work. But there may be other things that you can take advantage of. There are quite a lot of things in Italy that are expected to drum up more work for contractors and whatnot. So there may be something that you can find that helps mitigate the cost of your renovation. The other thing is a lower VAT structure. If you have a house that's considered your primary residence, you may be entitled to a VAT tax break. And that is important because when you're talking about an expensive renovation, you're talking about a big chunk of money going in VAT tax. And you want to make sure that you take advantage of every little thing that you can. So there you go, guys. I just briefly went over point by point in the article with the link below. You're going to find a lot more detail. And of course, you may want Studio Legale Meta to look over your contract and make sure everything is outlined exactly as it should be. It's always good to do these things in advance so you don't run into these stressful problems. So anyway, take a look at the whole article. Call Nick if you have any trouble or questions or concerns. And definitely keep your eyes open on what's going on with your projects. I know they're all going to turn out great and everything's going to be wonderful. It pays to be a little bit cautious at the outset. So there you go, guys. See you soon.